Classic creepypasta. God's mouth. I huffed and puffed under my breath as I stared into God's mouth. I felt like the big bad wolf ready to interrupt the three innocent little pigs as they hurriedly fortified their makeshift homes. I grinned at this thought, and then I turned my head to look for Margaret. She was a couple of feet down the hill from the entrance of the cave, holding a walking stick close to her petite frame. "Hurry up!" I called down to her. I then turned to the cave. Still grinning, an old rotted sign outside read, "God's Mouth Cave. Keep out." What a tired cliche. Margaret finally made it to the entrance and stood beside me, almost doubled over and out of breath. I looked down and smiled. "Check it out! God's mouth! I wonder where Jesus' anus is." I chuckled to myself. Margaret, however, was less amused. "Give me the damn water bottle," she said, exasperated. The open bottle met her lips, and for a moment I felt peaceful in a way, watching her drink the water. Actually, I'll take that back. The peaceful comment, I mean. It was more of a feeling. It was sort of hard to describe or even put my finger on it or to give it a name. But I could settle for a nice content. Content seemed to be the one of those words that manifested itself when natural human words seemed to fail. Again, an utter cliche, I know, but it felt good to feel a strange mixed up sort of happy for once. I sighed and turned my flashlight on. I pointed it into the cave. Black. God's mouth. This seemed like the antithesis of a Holy Spirit. I then turned again to Margaret. "You ready?" I asked. She was finally standing up straight. She nodded. I clapped a friendly hand on her back, and we walked into God's mouth together. The inside was not unlike the preview I'd glimpsed outside with my flashlight. Dark, dismal, and endlessly black. It seemed to stretch endlessly. No matter how I positioned my flashlight, the rocky terrain was damp and imposing. The last natural light slowly disappeared behind Margaret and I as we made our way deeper and deeper. I found it strange how soft and compelling the worlds around me now appeared. Despite the stalactites, the stalagmites, and other various rocky formations being so jagged, it seemed that even amongst the pointed teeth of God, I could lay down and rest there forever. It was comfortable. Apparently, Margaret didn't agree. She shivered uncomfortably under my arm. I raised my eyebrows. "Need your coat?" I asked. I tried to look at her and make non-verbal communication as explicit as possible until I realised that we were lost into the inky blackness of the mouth. I bit my lip and waited, but she didn't respond. For a couple of minutes, we walked in complete silence. She stopped and stood motionless. I stopped too. Why the hell are we even in here?" she said. She sounded irritated. I shrugged, more to appease myself than her, and shoved my flashlight under my face. Bladed shadows obscured half of my face, the other half illuminated in a wretched mask. "Spooky!" I cried, chuckling. She didn't move. I then sighed. "I thought you wanted to go," I said. I noticed how my voice echoed against the cave walls at any volume. "I mean," I began again, scratching my chin, "you did say you wanted to come and see some nature for our vacation, and you did sound impressed when I told you about my visit to Mammoth Caves a couple of years back, so..." My voice trailed off, and I could still sense her irritation. No, she said. I frowned. No, you wanted to go here. I wanted to go to a beach or something, but no, a cave. A cave, Nathan! She sounded more like the big bad wolf now. I know that you have this weird fetish for splunking or something, but I really don't want to be dragged into it. Don't get me wrong, I love to go onto a trip and get into nature and fresh air, but this... I could hear her arms flail and gesture about in the thick air. This is cave air, not fresh air. This is air that's practically fermenting. Plus, isn't this illegal? Can we please just leave? We both stood there. The only sound that could be heard was the electricity in the air being stifled and smothered by the damp atmosphere. Finally, I began to walk. I didn't hear Margaret follow me, but I kept moving forward. Then, Nathan, she said, stop, please stop. So I stopped. I'm sorry, she said. I could hear her moving closer to me. I'm just really tired and I'm not used to running and climbing around and the like. I'm just so fucking tired. It's okay, I said. She then gripped my arm. Really, it's fine. I shook my head. Which way is out? I don't remember. I could feel Margaret physically pause. Neither of us could remember. Somehow in the confusion of our argument, I'd forgotten which way we had been moving. Idiot! I thought to myself. I should have brought a goddamn rope or something to trail from the entrance. I had to take action, so without much thought, I turned 180 degrees and said, this way. We walked for what seemed to be hours. Our feet were tired and sore, and I could hear Margaret's groans from behind. She held my hand tightly, and I felt terrible. All of this was my fault. Then I froze. Hey, I said, put your hand out, feel this rock. I could hear Margaret's bare palm press against the stone. Isn't this, like, abnormally warm? I said. She didn't say anything. I began to work my way along the wall, feeling it as I went, shining the flashlight in front of me. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain on my head as the ceiling of God's mouth met with my scalp. Shit! Fucking hell. Nathan, are you okay? Nathan? Margaret asked. She was on the verge of panic now. Pissing shit. I'm fine, I said. Please, calm down. We'll get out of here soon, I promise. Fuck. I started again, pointing my flashlight upwards now to see the ceiling above me. It seemed to be getting narrower. That was strange. Listen, Margaret, babe, I said through clenched teeth. I think we got to turn around. Margaret sighed next to me. Again, we walked for a decent length. I kept my flashlight pointed upwards this time. Sure enough, the space in the cave seemed to become smaller and smaller. If there was any resonating light left in God's mouth aside from my flashlight, I'm sure Margaret would have been able to see the whites of my eyes, spreading in panic. We were completely lost. I let go of Margaret's hand and began to feverishly feel my way along the walls. No! Nathan! I heard her shout. I kept going. We had to get out. If we were lost, nobody would be able to find us. So I kept feeling along the wall until I abruptly hit a corner. Fuck! I said out loud. Margaret, this seems to be a dead end. I spun around on my heel. Margaret! No answer. Shit! I began to repeat my process again, almost running as I felt the wall run past my fingertips. cool, damp rocks and jagged spears. Suddenly, I found myself at a corner again. Fuck! 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 I shouted. Margaret! I was belting her name out now. In the corner of the cave's maw where I had been thwarted so many times already, I heard a noise. It sounded like muffled static from a television. I pressed my ear against the rock. It seemed to be getting even warmer now. I heard the faint sounds of Margaret on the other side of the rock. She was screaming. No, 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 I said. No, 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 no. I began running haphazardly into the walls around me. With dawning realization came a wave of sheer horror. There was no entrance and there was no exit. Only these four corners and me.